I had a question recently about miracles. I guess I used it in a context, made people not really understand, like, why would you use it in this context? More in like a scientific context, like, what are you bringing religion into science for? And I'm like, I don't know, it's scientific in my mind, right? So let's just try to figure out what miracles are and why they're not only in a religious context and how you can speak about them in a less religious context. Because if you really understood what they were, you wouldn't think they were only religious, right? So let's define miracles. And I'm not defining miracles based on the Christian Bible. According to tradition, that's magic. That's not miracles. That's illusion or trickery. Or what is a real miracle? Then, first of all, it has to have a very low probability of occurring. A probabilistic anomaly. For a car to stop at a red light wouldn't be a miracle, because that happens all the time. But for a car to stop in the middle of a highway, that would have a low probability. It still wouldn't be a miracle, but it would have a lower probability of happening, because that doesn't happen as often. Now, if you were to throw in something else into the mix, which shows intention, but all of a sudden a child runs out in front of the red light and doesn't get killed. Not a very low probability that the cars would be stopped, because you're at a red light. Maybe the red light's on 50% of the time, so it's a 50% chance that the child would run out in front of the red light. But he could run out anywhere, and he ran out in front of the red light to grab his ball that just flew out. So he was saved, and sure, that's a little miracle, right? The degree of probability has an influence. But what if this car car that just stopped on the freeway for no apparent reason, he didn't see any child, he just stopped, right? It's not a miracle. But if at the same time a ball flies out and a child comes out and runs and picks up the ball, well, then that's more like a miracle. They're unconnected events. He didn't see the child, so it's a low probability of happening, and it shows intent, like a higher intent. Someone intended it to happen, so that would be more of a miracle. The other thing could happen, someone goes through a red light and happens to hit a child that just runs through the thing, right? So that shows some sort of evil intent, and it's coincidental. It doesn't happen often that someone goes through a red light. So, that wouldn't be a miracle, right? That would be something else. So let's speak more about this positive intent, this beneficial intent. This is just a definition that anyone could use. You don't have to be religious or not. You could say something was miraculous or not miraculous, just to describe the probabilistic chance for something to happen and the positive outcome. Historic miracles, if you want to go into them, you get the parting of the Red Sea, for example. So if this Red Sea just happened to part today, out of the blue just parted, no one would say it was a miracle. Nobody. Because there's no intent there. It has a very low probability of occurring. And I mean, in the Torah itself, it says the wind blew. Something natural. It's not something that's supernatural. It naturally happened. It's just very low probability of happening in nature for the wind to blow that strong and for the conditions to be just right for the sea to part. And since then, a lot of people have tried to disprove the miraculous nature of the event and saying it was a natural event. Well, that doesn't disprove anything. We know it's a natural event. It says so right in the Torah. It says the wind blew. That was the miracle. The fact that the wind blew, not that the sea split. The low probability was that the wind blew in that exact way. It showed intent because it was exactly when a certain person had to cross the Red Sea to escape death and destruction. So that is a miracle. You don't have to mention God or anything in this miracle. That, if you're religious, you can say, oh yeah, it was God. And if you're scientific, you're like, yeah, that's a miracle that happened. And so just give another example, throw another example out. We don't know if this actually happens or not, but this is something that, according to some schools of quantum physics, say that there is a probability for someone to walk through a wall. That's a low probability, according to the school of quantum physics. It's called quantum tunneling. Very low probability of happening, and if you were to do it once every nanosecond since the universe start walking into the wall, I don't know how many billions of universes you would need for you to actually succeed in doing it one time. Very low probability. And yet, if someone were to tomorrow go ahead and walk through a wall, we wouldn't question it as being a miracle. No, we wouldn't. There's a theory out for it. Just comes and confirms the theory. It confirms quantum tunneling, and that a large mass can actually effectively quantum tunnel. But if that person were being chased by a mugger who was trying to kill him or something like that, and he walked through a wall, well, there you show intent. And there you show that's a miracle. That was a miraculous event. Even more, what happens if this guy who was saved from death ends up curing cancer or doing something great with his life afterwards? That's an even greater miracle because it shows greater intent. So there's two scales. There's the level of intent and there's the level of probability. And so you can get a basic formula. The amount of miracle is equal to intent over probability. And then there you go. You've got a formula in order to scale how much of a miracle it is. So miracles are scientific. That's it.